Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel, I hope you're all doing well. Let me first start saying thank you to all the people that yesterday were a bit worried for me because I told you I was not 100% well, so really kind messages, thank you for that. I am feeling better, that means that I'm ready to record that video where we speak about our beloved Juventus. We'll have a lot of things to say. Juve, Frosinone, second game of Coppa Italia tomorrow, not that much in detail, we'll try to go really fast on it. Why? Because later today there will be the press conference of Max Allegri that will give us a bit more updates. Then we'll speak about Mercato, not only the one of the winter, where you saw it, and probably I will put it on the thumbnail. Kean could already leave in the winter. Gazzetta dello Sport is even telling us that we are opening the door maybe for a welcome back of Bernardeschi, pay attention. And then we'll also speak about the next one, the summer one, when there is a big midfielder that is refusing a certain team to come probably to Juve. So I will reveal you everything in today's video. Maximum of like if you didn't yet, please continue to subscribe. And now we start. Before speaking about Juventus Frosinone first team, I want to speak about first team of Juventus Women, because yesterday I had the honor and it was really a pleasure to spend 40 minutes live and also a bit more in backstage with Cecilia Salvai, that is the Juventus Women center back. She's there since the creation of the Juve team, and I'm super happy to have spent that time with her. It was extremely nice, you know it. Yesterday on Juventus YouTube there was also that documentary, short form is it called, Life in a Day from Cecilia Salvai, where she's speaking about her youth, about the sickness that she had and how she dreamt to become a football player. Really touching, really nice documentary from Creator Lab. Go and watch it if you didn't yet. And yesterday she was not alone, because at a certain moment there was a special guest that also popped up during the live. If you want to know who it is, watch that little video now.
Eccolo, scusate, è giovane però pesa già un po'.
Mamma mia, pesa. Ma pesa tanto? È bellissimo.
Pesa un pochino, dai.
So I have to say it was super nice, because it's the first time in my total career as content creator that a player from Juventus is showing me a real trophy like that live. It was super nice. Anyway, now we start speaking about Juventus first team with tomorrow, the game against Frosinone, Juventus Frosinone, second game. I want to win it, of course, because I want to win every single game, but winning tomorrow is super important, you know it. It's one game, you go through or you stay home, and it's eliminated. Pay attention to Frosinone, because in Coppa Italia, they dream to do the miracle. There is always that small team that is doing that miracle in a season. Well, Frosinone, after beating Napoli 4-0, they want to do it again. They want to do it in the Allianz Stadium tomorrow, so we have to really pay attention. Really curious to understand what Max Allegri will say. I think the fact that they won 4-0 against Napoli is a beautiful alarm bell for you to say, pay attention, don't underestimate that game. Of course, we'll do it without some players. Rabiot will not play tomorrow. He will not even be called up, and that's something that we already knew, but has been confirmed yesterday. Well, if there is a surprise, I don't know, but at the moment, Rabiot will not be there, trying to recuperating for Serie A, even if there are some rumors that are saying we are not even sure if he will be 100% ready to play against Sassuolo, which I believe at the moment that he will be at least called up, but that's story for later. What about Chiesa? Well, Chiesa and Rabiot yesterday, they worked separately, they didn't train with the group. Chiesa, I told you my feelings of a few days ago. I don't think that he will be ready for Coppa Italia, but he will be there certainly against Sassuolo. There were other three news that we were not expecting, but we received yesterday. The first one is Cambiaso, that worked partially, so after the fever he's not 100% ready. He will probably be called up, but starting on the bench. So who will start there? We think that it is Weah on the right side, and then on the left side probably it will be Ealing Jr. or Kostic, but we need to understand the condition of Ealing Jr. because yesterday Romeo Agresti told us about the English player that was able to equalize before the win of Dusan Vlahovic against Salernitana, that he had he suffered a blow to the calf, and that's a bit annoying. Not a big problem, he should be called up, but anyway, that's the thing that we didn't want to read, because Ealing Jr., you know, is the kind of player that is now with an ultra boost of confidence. He really wants to prove with the opportunities that we have to play more games than one in a week. It's the moment for Ealing, so I hope he's not stopping now that he's doing quite well. And then Vlahovic, that also him after Cambiaso, he has the flu. Is it something that we could expect? Of course, yes, we could, because look at how he was celebrating in the crazy rain of Salerno last weekend. He was there without t-shirt. He was there like that, you know, a bit a la Lukaku. It was quite funny, but of course the consequences are that now he has the flu. It's something that, of course, I'm extremely happy. I prefer that, because at the end he was able to score. So for me, if he wants to celebrate without t-shirt every single game, he can do it as long as we win the games. So what is the predicted lineup for tomorrow? It will be Perin in In the goal, we know it, Coppa Italia goalkeeper is always Perin. Danilo, Rugani and Gatti is what I predict to be the 3 center backs. Why Danilo and why not Bremer? Because I believe that Danilo needs playing time to reassure himself, so that's the one that I think will play. In the midfield, I told you about Illing, I'm not sure, so Kostic could play on the left, Wea on the right. McKennie will not play in Serie A, so McKennie is a starter together with Locatelli and Miretti. The only doubt there, can we see maybe Nicolussi, but you know it, and Nicolussi and Miretti together is for me a big bet. Why? Because then your physicality start to be less, even if in the midfield of Frosinone, it's not that they have that much of physicality. So I'm not sure about that one, but I think Locatelli Miretti will play together with Weston McKennie. Up front, we know it, without Chiesa, without Kean, with Vlahovic that has the flu, we have no choices. So Yildiz and Arkadiusz Milik. Tomorrow will be a special game, not only for Juve, not only for Juventini, but also for Max Allegri. Why? Because tomorrow he will be there for 400 games on the bench of Juve, which is immense, which is super long, especially in a football like today, where it's more an exception than something really real to have a continuity on the bench. I know it was a big debate last season, the season before, even before that. Do we want Max Allegri back? Do we want to continue with Max Allegri? Hashtag Allegri out, hashtag Allegri in. You had people that wanted him, people that didn't want him. But anyway, we have to say honestly, objectively, that it's really beautiful, a really beautiful target to have 400 benches on Juve, which is something incredible. And you know, Max Allegri is an important factor in the -2 that we have in Serie A. If today we can say that we are in the run against Inter in a total different way, because Inter is playing one way, Juventus is playing in another way. We know all the differences, we are speaking about it since the beginning of the season. Well, we have to say that Max Allegri is an important figure on that target, in the thing that we are achieving at the moment. And Corriere dello Sport is even saying it, that l'uomo scudetto, the man of the scudetto, it's not Lautaro, it's not Dusan Vlahovic, but it's actually Max Allegri that has a 66.2% of victory on the bench of Juve. Tomorrow, being there for 400 games, he's already in the top 3, but he's just missing then after the 400 bench 5 games to reach Marcello Lippi. There are 3 coaches that won double-digit trophies with Juve. It's Trapattoni with nearly 600 benches, so it's impossible to reach. Then 405 benches for Lippi, and Allegri 399. It's a lot, 14 for the first coach, 13 trophies for the second coach, Max Allegri 11. Can he go to 13 this season? Well, this is, I think, the least that we can hope for. What about Mercato? Because I told you today we want to speak about Mercato. Juventus is already thinking about the future, starting to also renew and actually make the defense younger. We know it, Alexandro last season, and he will not renew, and that's an important factor that Juventus is already anticipating this time. Inter, you know it, with Thiago Giallo that will join, I think, from the rumors, next week to do his medical and staying at Juventus. So anticipating Inter, which is super important because everything was already agreed with the player, with probably also a higher salary for the Portuguese 23-year player that is coming back to Serie A. Because people that do not know, he was in the youth academy of Milan before going to Lille in that deal for Leao. Portuguese player, physical, can play on the left, can play on the right, can play in a 3-man defense, can play in a 4-man defense, can play also with his left foot, even if it's a weak foot. A player that can give a lot. A player that is playing a bit a la Cannavaro. Now, let's not start to compare, he's not Cannavaro. But in terms of style, anticipating, going high on the field, but thanks to his velocity can really come back really fast because he has an incredible, beautiful velocity. Of course, we will have to wait because he's coming back from an injury. Some people ask me, Beppe, can you give us an update? He's already starting to train with the ball, which means that he's in the last phase of recuperation, which is great. Will we see him a lot this season with Juve? Probably not, because he will need time to adapt, to understand, to come back also physically. But Juventus is already thinking about next summer, and that's a really beautiful one, especially because it's a player that last year was worth 20-25 million euro. If you can already seal the deal for 3 million euro, that's fantastic. Really well done from Giuntoli and Manna that are not taking a big risk, working on the future defense that will be out of Bremer, Thiago Dalot if he's recuperating well, and then a young player that will play this evening, and I will watch Lazio Roma in Coppa Italia because we have Dean Huijsen that will probably start today, and also him gaining experience, gaining minutes in Italy, but also in Europe because they are playing Europa League. Well, that could be a really beautiful defense without forgetting a Rugani and a Federico Gatti. So Juventus really smart in already working for the future, trying to continue to lower the salary cost, the salary mass, and not spending too much, but already thinking about the future with really smart reinforcement. And they are also thinking about another reinforcement, this time for the midfield, not immediately for the winter, but for the summer. Why? Because there is a team that is called Napoli that tried to sign a player that I mentioned so many times on the channel, Kone from Mönchengladbach. They wanted to go immediately for him, where he said, no, thank you. I want to go to Juventus. I prefer to wait for Juventus. And Luca Marchetti from Sky Sport Italia, yesterday he revealed it. He said no to the Partenopei, saying no, I want to go to Juve because it's a team that is already following me a lot since a few time now, and that's the team I want to go for. Now, will it happen or not? Big words. But you see, when I told you Kone, pay attention to two players, Kone, Sudakov. Kone, it started to be more and more concrete, and yesterday we received that beautiful confirmation, which makes me super happy because it's a player that I really like. My preferred one is and was Kefren Thuram, but the competition is really big. So financially I think that Kone can be even the better deal. Now, speaking about Napoli, honestly, without lacking respect to Napoli, it's difficult to go and say yes to Napoli. A Napoli that won the Scudetto last year, where everything was fantastic, great, whatever you want to. They lost Spalletti, they lost Giuntoli, they lost Kim Min-jae. They are in a total confusion. They also lost 22 points if we compare it to what they did in the first round of Serie A last season. And they also start to lose the nerves. Why? Because yesterday the agent of Kvaratskhelia started to speak to a Georgian television saying, Napoli, Kvaratskhelia, my player that is in my agency, he deserves better. And he was absolutely not happy with the contract extension that is still not arriving, that is still having the deal when he arrived, saying he deserves more money. He's dreaming about clubs like Bayern Munich, like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester City. It's a player that would fit in every single big team in Europe, but he's not sure if the president of Napoli would let him go. He has a contract until 2027, so a total disaster there with big words after only 18 months of Kvaratskhelia to Napoli. It's difficult, and you know it. When you go to Napoli, it's super tough with De Laurentiis that has a huge ego, and without Giuntoli, it's even more difficult, creating tension. There is no Giuntoli anymore to protect players, agent, to have this beautiful relationship. And he also spoke about Osimhen, something totally out of this world, comparing, saying, I don't understand the deal that they gave to Osimhen, giving him nearly 10 million euro net and retroactive since the beginning of the season, because it's a player that will probably even leave, going to Saudi Arabia this summer. Big words of the agent were Osimhen, from African Cup, was already replying on Instagram yesterday night saying, Dear Mamako Jugeli, that is the agent of Kvaratskhelia, you are a piece of filth and a disgrace. I am embarrassed at your sense of reasoning, and then insulting him. Keep my name out of your mouth. Big words, huh? Big words. If you were asking yourself, is Napoli getting better and better, and are they healing? Well, at the moment, no. Anyway, let's come back to Juventus, because we have to speak about now, because Juventus is in that run for the Scudetto, even if Max Allegri will never admit it until the end. We are in that run Scudetto with Cannavaro, that is a supporter of Napoli, but played at Juve twice. Actually said, Chiesa could be the man of the overtaking. He's the man that I am betting on. Inter is stronger than Juve. They are more complete, but Juve, they have the best Italian player, which is Federico Chiesa. Will I become the coach of Napoli? Well, it should be time, but nobody is calling me. Losing Spalletti and Giuntoli was a huge, big thing for Napoli. So he's repeating actually what I told you earlier, and then he's speaking also about VAR. Anyway, we continue, because now we have to think about the Mercato, because Chiesa is already a player of Juve. Well, Gazzetta dello Sport is speaking about scossa Scudetto, earthquake Scudetto, putting Max Allegri in the middle with Kenan Yildiz on the left and Jalot on the right side. Well, they're speaking a bit too much about Jalot being a reinforcement because you know it, he will arrive to Juve, but will it really be a reinforcement for a player that is coming from an ACL and didn't recuperate yet? I think it's a bit too early to mention that. On the other side, they are putting Max Allegri as a DJ. Remix Scudetto. You know, I said it on the Telegram group this morning. I'm asking myself, you know, the meeting of the day before when they are working on these double pages of Gazzetta, and there is one that is saying, you know what, boss, my idea is to put Max Allegri as a DJ with the players in kind of vinyls. And the boss is saying, yes, that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. No, I'm just asking. I'm trying to ask myself how did that meeting go, and it's totally absurd. Anyway, they are saying also interesting thing when you're reading the article, because they are speaking about a Yildiz that becomes an extra weapon, also super important with a lot of consequences. The first one is that the contract of Federico Chiesa that will finish at 2025, now with the rising star Kenan, they have a bit more time, Juventus, because they will try, of course, to extend it at least with 1 year until 2026 to be a bit more reassured. If it's not working, Juventus is not that much in a rush anymore, because in worst case scenario, you already have the one that is replacing Federico, that is actually Yildiz. On the other side, the other consequences are that with the rising star Kenan Yildiz, well, Kean is starting to have less and less playing time. We know it. It's a player that since he came back has never received the first role at Juve, because the first one were Vlahovic and Chiesa that were playing all the games in the beginning of the season with Milik and Kean on the bench. Only when Vlahovic or Chiesa were injured or not at the top of their form, Kean was starting to increase his minutes, where he did actually in terms of performances not bad. We were here to praise him, but it's not enough. At the moment, as we speak, 0 goals this season, 0 valid goals this season. The last goal that he scored at Juve was on the 1st of April 2023, so we are speaking about, you know, like 8 months ago, which is really too long, and this is something that can't happen for a striker at Juve, that on the 10th of January you still have 0 goals on your active. And that's why there are some teams that are thinking about him, because you know it, Euro 2024, a lot of players want to participate, like Calvin Phillips, that is looking for playing time. He will not come to Juve, but he's looking to leave Manchester City. Well, Kean is thinking about the same. Can I go in another team that is really believing in me as a starter now, so that I have playing time and I can go to Euro? Because doing a beautiful Euro, and you know it, in Italy, there are no starting strikers at the moment. All the strikers that are playing are flopping. So Kean is really believing I have a chance there that can put me again in the eye of all the clubs, even maybe Juventus, who knows. So the idea of Juve is extending him, sending him on loan, and then you have 3 possible options. You have Monza, you have Fiorentina, you have Bologna. Monza, the problem is the money, because we have a net salary of Kean with 3 million euro. Half of the season has been played, so 1.5 million is still there to be paid to Kean. A lot, too much for Monza, but they are trying to be creative. Juventus is waiting for the different offers, also to Kean to think about it. Bologna could be another one that is doing well in Serie A. And then you have a Fiorentina. That is the one that is the most serious about. Why? Because they don't have a lot of money, but at least they have the money to pay or his salary, or at least to loan him from us with a bit of money. Kean will not be sold permanently, but on loan to have more chances to play could be an option. What I would do personally, Beppe, I will not accept it, because we know it. And Vlahovic, he has one time pubalgia, one time he have low back pain, one time it's Chiesa that is a bit scared and he needs to rest because he's coming back from a huge big injury. And then if you finish with only Kenan and Chiesa, Kenan and Vlahovic or Milik, I know we are playing one competition only, but it can be really risky. And with the beautiful part that we are doing in Serie A, it's a risk that I would personally not take, but I can understand the player that wants more chances. What is the replacement that we can have if we have a Kean that is leaving? Well, we could take possibly, according to Gazzetta dello Sport, a Bernardeschi. A Bernardeschi come back, like we say here. He said it publicly, but he also said it secretly in private to the management of Juve. I am ready to come on loan for 6 months to give your help. I can play on the left, I can play on the right, I can play as a striker, I can play as a mezzala, I can play wherever you want to. I'm not one that is creating troubles in the team. I am also someone that celebrating new year with the team, so I know part of the team. I would be ready to come. Now, Gazzetta is also imagining a possibility why Bernardeschi is pushing that much and why it's still a real concrete possibility, because you're speaking about Saudi Arabia is again knocking on the door of Filip Kostic. Can Filip Kostic leave already now this winter? I don't believe so. But the possibility, according to Gazzetta dello Sport, is there. There is one player that will not move this summer, or at least not go back to where he played last season. It is Hans Nicolosi that will not go to Salernitana. For what reason? Because they asked him on loan and Juventus said, no, we don't want, which means that I'm not sure if we will really go for a midfielder. I think really that Juventus said, or we go for Cope Manners from Atalanta, but Atalanta, they want 45-50 million euro. They don't want to sell him to Juve now, already in the winter. And if it's not possible, we wait to go for our real targets this summer. And again, I go back to the name, Kone, Mönchengladbach. Pay attention to that name. Anyway, that was it for me for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the maximum of like and subscribing to this channel. Grazie, forza, Juve.